Hello and welcome back to Dr. Logic Awkwardly Does Logic with a couple of cats. Today we are going to begin the proof of the lemma that leads to the soundness theorem for propositional logic. So you'll recall that lemma is the one that says if from some set of assumptions gamma we can prove a formula phi, then if all of the premises, all of the formulas in gamma are true on some truth value assignment, then phi also has to be true. So the way that we're going to prove this is we're going to look at what various steps of our proof rules have to do. So by assumption, our assumptions will be true. So we're going to show that, if you can prove something from the assumptions, then if the assumptions are true, what you can prove from them is true. So the assumptions are kind of, true by assumption. So this leaves us with the other bookkeeping rule, reiteration, and the introduction and elimination rules for each of the connectives. So we're just looking at the basic rules because all of the derived rules could be reduced to applications of the basic rules. So we don't need to prove that their use is sound. So what we will be doing, let me bring up my whiteboard so that we can kind of do a little bit of meta bookkeeping ourselves to keep track of what's going on. I'm going to prove to you that reiteration is sound. And then we are also going to do, but not all in one video, conjunction introduction, conditional introduction, and negation elimination. So that leaves 5 rules left for you to try to prove the soundness of on your own. But with these example proofs kind of to give you some structure, you should be able to come up with the proofs yourself. So reiteration is very straightforward. The idea is, so here we've got the proof that reiteration is sound. So what we want to do is we want to suppose that we have some proof where everything that we've done in the proof so far is already good. So we're just working from the assumption that we've applied correct rules correctly. And then what we want to show is that if we take that proof and extend it with one more step, namely an application of reiteration, things don't go wrong. So we still have an instance where if all of the premises are true, then everything else that we have derived is also true. So what would this look like? Let n be a line of a proof with addition, reiteration of line I, where I is earlier in the proof than n. What we want to show, or what we need to show, is that if every step in our proof up to and including line I is sound, then the step at line n is also sound. It's truth preserving. So what this means is that, if the formula on line I is true, then the formula on line n is true. So this is what we want to show. But these just are the same formula. So anytime that you apply reiteration in a proof, you take something that you've already written down and you write it down unchanged. So if the first one is true, then the second one will also have to be true, because writing it down a second time doesn't change its truth value. So if the first instance is true, the second must be as well. So there you have it. Reiteration is sound. If everything that you've done in a proof up to some line I is truth preserving, then taking something that you've already written down in that proof and writing it down again will not change anything that you have. Assuming, of course, that you are applying reiteration correctly and you're not taking something out of a scope line or doing something illicit. We're always going to be talking about correct applications of the rule when proving that they are sound. So this is one example. The other rules, the non-bookkeeping rules, are much more interesting because they will actually require us to look at the truth tables and to reason according to them. So I've given justification for the rules in various videos with kind of motivating them in terms of truth. But here's the point where we actually link up definitions of proof with definitions of truth and show that they track each other. So in the next video, we'll start looking at those rules. So we'll do conjunction introduction in one, and then conditional introduction in one, and negation elimination in one. I'll do separate videos for each of them just because then they're very nice and self-contained. But I encourage you to look at all of them and see the structure of the proof that we're going to be talking about, because it's going to be the same in each one. It's just going to be the details that change. So once you can recognize the structure from seeing these next 3 proofs, doing the remaining 5 yourself should be straightforward. I hope. Anyway, join me again in a bit and we'll go through those examples so that you can get all set up to do it on your own. See you later. Cheers.